Mr. Shakes, welcome to our little get together. We three meet and we have no idea where this conversation will go. And we are deeply pleased to have you on board. And you are a very bona fide, very real, and high profile angel. And you probably know more than Pontus and I put together.
It's a definite pleasure to be interviewed by both of you. I'm a fan of both of your work, and I just thank you both very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
So what is your definition of what you're getting yourself into now?
I think it's just three guys who share the same love and respect for Angelina Jordan and go about introducing this amazingly talented young lady to a bigger audience in different ways. I think the community around Angelina Jordan is so huge, and there's so many angels doing so much work that I think it's just three guys about to have a conversation about how we got introduced to her and where we are now compared to maybe the beginning of the Angelina Jordan journey.
Yeah, that's true. And we also like to focus on how she makes us feel and how she has turned our lives around. Because I don't know about you, but for me, it was a big turning point in my life when I discovered her. And I know that you have a huge reaction channel, of course, so you listen to a lot of artists. But for me, I have never had any kind of artist that I follow like I follow Angelina. It's crazy.
There is only one artist that I do a dedicated live stream to on my channel, and that is an Angelina Jordan channel. But I also discovered her in the very, very early stages of reacting, and I was really green to reacting. And from where I was as a person in a channel then to now is night and day.
Yeah.
Completely night and day. I think when I first reacted to her, I may have had under 1,000 subscribers.
Because I watched your reaction to I Put a Spell on You, which was the first song of hers that you heard.
I've wanted to delete that for a long time.
Why?
It's so bad.
Why? It's bad.
Well, not for her. Not her job is phenomenal. I look at him and stop talking. Please stop talking.
Okay.
Stop talking. Shh.
Okay.
Michael, stop talking.
Put a spell on you.
What? Oh my! What? What? What kind of a tone is coming out of this young girl? Oh no, I'm in for a complete brain fuck right now. Oh my god.
Put a spell on you.
Woo! Are you kidding me?
Because you're mine.
I rarely watch my own reactions afterwards because of what you just said. Afterwards, you think of all the good things you should have said.
I watched your reaction an hour ago in preparation for our conversation. Everything is fresh in my mind. I've done my homework.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that experience all over again.
No. Your enthusiasm precedes you.
Yeah.
There's only a select amount of artists that bring that out, and I say it a lot in my reactions. I've been around this industry when it comes to music, forefront behind it, and with all my family, that there's very few artists that gives me goosebumps and can bring that sort of reaction out of me. And she's first note, first second, you just knew that there was something special there. Like the first second I heard something from such a young little girl, it was just like, really?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And in fact, in the last hour, I've listened to 4 of your reaction videos, and I can reconfirm all 4 of them. The first second reaction hits you hard. You're like butter in the microwave.
Something told me it was
Oh my God. Yeah, melted. Just 100% right away. She's special. She really is. There's a reason why I've dedicated X amount of hours on my channel to her. When I started doing these different things, I didn't realize the philanthropy that she does and the things that she does to give back. I live in a rebuilding third world country. I moved here because I wanted to give back and do something. And then as the channel grew, it just made sense to donate everything off my YouTube channel to charity to help the kids in my neighborhood. Is it Angelina Jordan wearing off on me? Maybe. Everything was aligning around the same time with the growth of the channel, the monetization, the views coming from Angelina Jordan's videos, the live streams, and it's just, 100% she played a big part in that. The philanthropy was in me, but the meaning behind it and the driving force behind it, she played a huge part in that. Without the angels on the channel, I don't think the growth of my channel would be where it is at and be doing the things that I'm doing. So I owe Angelina Jordan so much.
Yeah. So where are you located?
I'm in Legazpi City, Philippines. Really small, provincial country. Beautiful landscape. Everywhere you drive is just beautiful rice fields. The center of this region is a perfect cone, 3,500 meter volcano, active. You close your eyes and think of ocean and rice fields and a volcano. That's exactly it.
Wow. And what brought you there?
My wife is Filipino, and when we came here for the first vacation, I said to her, we're going to move here one day, and she's not a chance.
Sure.
But I do have to say that the people here are friendly, like insanely friendly. The food is phenomenal. Like the check boxes are, for the pros and cons, are heavily weighted in the pros versus the cons.
Yeah.
I think I need to give you an introduction. So let me ask you about your background, because that's really crucial and phenomenally important to who you are and how you are. A lot of people who are like reactors, they come from a musical background, but your exposure is probably more multidimensional than most, because rather than having two speakers, you had four speakers zooming in on you from all different directions for your musical influence. So why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, so as far as myself being introduced to music, I would have to say I was probably as young as Angelina Jordan, if not younger. I have heard stories of my mother and my father's two sisters. They used to have just a small touring group, and they used to go around to the different malls. And there was a time where I think my mom was pregnant with me, and she was on stage singing. Every member of my father's family can play multiple instruments. Aunts, uncles, cousins. My grandfather, when he came back from World War II, was in a band. All of his kids were in bands. So family gatherings would end up in the backyard with 4 or 5 guitars being pulled out. And some of my friends telling me when we were 8 or 9, yeah, I don't want to go inside and play video games. I want to listen to your family's concerts. My father's brother had the largest Beatles tribute band in Canada in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
His twin sister is a lounge jazz singer, my aunt, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald style. And then there's 2 more sets of twins in my father's family. My Aunt Bonnie was a child prodigy when she was 3 years old. My grandfather bought a piano, put it in the basement, and from 4 years old, sat down and was playing Beatles songs just by ear. And then Mozart, Beethoven, without lessons, just hearing it on the radio, going downstairs and just playing it on the piano. My Uncle Billy is a jazz guitarist and singer. My father is a world-renowned finger-picking blues-style guitarist. My dad builds websites. My dad's a web developer.
Wow.
He's a techie nerd. He still wears his tie-dye shirts, long hair. He's a Woodstock leftover, and he'll gladly talk about his time in Woodstock.
We're all hippies, but some of us hide it better.
Yeah.
My whole wedding, he was walking around in a tie-dye shirt. My dad's a hippie through and through. My brother had one of the largest Canadian independent rock groups. They were on the cusp of superstardom when they started fighting about music and broke up.
Way back in the day, I said, hey man, there's no way that I would ever be just like you.
My mother's brother owns 3 nightclubs in Toronto. One of the nightclubs he owned was the longest running blues nightclub in Toronto. So I have photos of me as a little child sitting on B.B. King's knee. The legends and greats would play at my uncle's bar all the time, but I didn't know any better, because I would just run around and be that little snotty kid running around making noise. And I see these pictures in the photo albums now, and I had no idea then. And as I grew up, I didn't care, because I was doing my own thing. I was more into sports than I was into music. And I think I wrote my first song when I was 12, 18. I left school, didn't go to college, and was touring Europe. I had 2 songs on the Billboard Top 100 at the same time in Germany and Poland, 2 gold albums. Music's in my blood. My father quit music to raise us, and as we were old enough, he knew we were okay, just jump-started his music career all over again.
Wow.
And what kind of music do you do yourself? You're a rapper, aren't you?
I am, not by choice. All of my family members can also sing, along with being able to play instruments. I play the drums, but I couldn't sing. I can, but I choose not to. So I'm a rapper. I'm not like a hardcore gangster rapper. And as I got older, I moved away from pushing a music career. But yeah, I was a rapper. I still am.
Living life with fake smiles and a bottled up stress. Broken dreams and scars, my life's a mess. This tightrope's got me feeling like.
When I moved to the Philippines, I was bored and restarted playing around with music. And 15 years out of the industry as a front act, just not managing artists or owning a record label anymore. I released the song, and the next day it had like 250,000 plays, and I was like, okay, maybe I should put some more music out. Maybe it worked. So that's why I got back into the YouTube and into music, was because I moved to the Philippines. I retired at the 37, 38, and was bored. And I picked it up, so I kept myself busy. And without that, there would be no YouTube. I wouldn't know who Angelina Jordan is, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking now. And then COVID hit, and my views were going even higher, but I wasn't reacting and I wasn't putting anything on YouTube. So all the other platforms were doing really good. And then somebody made a suggestion, why don't you try reacting? And here we are now.
So when you heard Angelina Jordan, you really had quite a background, and you put her in the full spectrum of everything that came before. And so your reaction was probably that much more profound.
I was floored. I couldn't believe it, just because with everybody being able to play instruments around me, if I go to a club and I hear a band, I can tell if the drummer's not that great. Immediately, I can tell if the guitarist makes mistakes. I can hear little things that 95% of the world won't even pick up on. If the singer's flat or sharp, instantly I know, where everybody else is, oh, she's so good. And I'm just like, in my head, I can't say that, but I'm like, is she really? Like, I don't want to be that guy that points it out. But when I heard her and the things that she was doing, things vocally that my aunt has been doing her whole life at 6 or 7 years old, and I'm just like, how is a 7-year-old little girl just manipulating the vocal register like that? So I was just in shock. Like, I'm like, okay, there's Michael Jackson, who's the kid for the men. Angelina has to be that for the ladies. There's no other little child that could do what Angelina could do at that age. I sit here and I think everybody made it, and people understood who they were when they were teenagers. They weren't little girls. I was just floored at the techniques and the things, and then finding out she's from Norway. English isn't her first language, and I'm just like, hey, what? I was just, I had to do a deep dive down that rabbit hole to find out more. And I remember saying in some of my early reactions, I hope as she matured, her voice didn't change. The angels are the best, because anything you ask, they're going to tell you whether you ask it or not. And I love it. And they're like, no, you got to hear this one because it's not. That's like, I started earlier on in Angelina Jordan and worked my way up in age through my reactions. So while I'm saying I hope her voice doesn't crack, everybody's already 5 years later already saying, can you get to where we are now? Like, I wasn't there yet.
So what do you think in maybe 10 years' time, how will Angelina's artistry stack up with the greats? Do you think she will have a place alongside of Michael Jackson or Beatles or the really great ones?
I think vocally, I think technique-wise, I think what she does and her abilities, like, because most of these people don't write their own music. A lot of the greats, if you sit back and look at the credits in the album, you're going to see 5, 10 people in the credits of writing the song, where Angelina Jordan writes material. So when you're writing material from such a young age, that kind of jumpstarts it. Because even if for whatever reason she doesn't have an amazing front career, she could be a writer for people. But the question you ask, I think, falls on her PR and what Republic Records does and the budget they put behind her. Angelina Jordan can do whatever she wants vocally. She can write multi-genre songs. She can communicate to people who listen to many different genres. Her mass amount of success falls on the PR and what her PR team does for her in introducing her to newer audiences and exposing her in the right way. So whether that's through music videos, whether that's through radio and doing a really big radio push, let's say she does a US tour, she's got to be on every major radio station being interviewed in every major city a week leading up to her concert. There's got to be heavy PR. Well, I don't got to tell Republic Records how to do their job. They're pretty smart in what they're doing, but as long as she gets the right budget behind her, the world's her oyster. And in 10 years, will we be talking about her in that? I think it'll be sooner than that. I think her platinum albums and her platinum success is coming very soon, sooner than we all think.
Yeah.
We all hoped that Old Enough would be there, but it's not officially released yet, so it's not in line for Grammys. And
Shakes, let's talk about the rabbit hole, because everyone talks about the term, everyone knows the term, and all three of us are well and truly down the rabbit hole. But I think we really almost have to define what this rabbit hole is, because even while we were halfway down, we didn't realize how deep it was. It's not just like 100 meters below the surface. This rabbit hole goes down to the center of the earth. And it's caverns, and it's like nothing else we've experienced before. And Pontus and I, and probably everyone else down the rabbit hole, are really just undergoing the pure shock of the nature of this type of rabbit hole, because it's like out of the blue. It's like a thunderbolt hit us when we went down this rabbit hole. And we were totally unsuspecting. It took us completely by surprise. And that's part of the phenomenon.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, neither was I.
And the other thing, as you say, is the Angels, the Angelina Jordan community, is really one of the reasons why it's all such a joy, because they may be getting on in years, but they have picked up the ball and they have run with it. For you, it's the philanthropy, and for them, it's the gentleness, and it's the care, and it's the discretion. The Angelina Jordan Angels, they can correct you, but they cannot troll you. They will steer you in a certain direction, but in a very gentle way. So they really have picked up the vibe from Angelina Jordan. And that's
Totally.
part of the charm of being part of this community.
Yeah.
I've logged, I don't know how many hours online. Okay, so let's say 3 hours a week just in my live streams for almost 2 years. Not to mention the reactions that I've done. And I'm still listening to material for the first time in some of my live streams. That is mind-blowing. And when I think about how much hours just online in front of a camera, that's not even personally at home. When I'm introducing people to her and they're like, oh, have you heard this one? And when people still request something that I haven't heard, I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How is that? Like, this young lady's catalog is just insanely big. And once you think you've dived down the rabbit hole, there's more to it. You find another chamber, like the hidden chamber. Angelina Jordan and the hidden chambers of songs. Like, it's so fun. It's so cool, because now we anticipate her next release. And the one that she just did in Vegas, they didn't announce that she was releasing a new song, right? So everybody that went to the concert was given not only the gift of being able to see her in concert, but the first crack at the new song.
This next song I'm gonna play for you guys is an unreleased song. It's called Princes of Ruins.
She did something similar in the concert in Norway 2022. But that was a cover. That was not an original. But it was a cover where she was using a singing technique that nobody had heard before, at least from her. And so I think she enjoys that shock and awe factor that she has on us.
That's awesome.
Because, Michael, you probably know her repertoire very well by now, and I'm sure Pontus is referring to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And in one of your videos, you say, oh, can she yodel? So if you go back and you listen to Mount Everest, I think that's pretty much Angelina Jordan yodeling for you.
It's crazy. And just to think that this young woman picked up the genres that she did, and being from where she is, I think when you realize and understand that, it pulls you in instantly. Her talent alone is just phenomenal. And I think all of us now, X amount of years later, and she's now a young adult herself, are waiting and anticipating her next releases to see if she's going to play around with multi-genres, because she has been performing so many genres her whole career. And she's only 18, her whole career, but it's spanning over 10 years.
Yeah.
It's the crazy thing, right?
There are a lot of comments in the community about, oh, I can't wait for Angelina's new release or new album. But it's almost like after you've had an exquisitely fine meal, you say, oh, I can't wait for the dessert. With what we have already from her 200 songs, I can go back and I still hear them as if they're for the first time. I hear the nuances, I hear the subtlety. And with 200 songs in her back catalog, I feel really fulfilled and I feel really complete. And I don't necessarily crave, okay, I'm curious about what the future will hold and curious about what future direction she will take. But I am so satisfied with what she's done already.
Yeah, and I heard that when she released Old Enough, somebody said that in an interview, she stated that she had like 100 songs to choose from. Go figure.
So what you're saying is when you released it, it's now going to be a double LP. And so now we're going to get a whole bunch of, but like the question is anybody ever going to hear those 190 other songs?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I sit here and I think to myself a lot, she doesn't need to do covers too much of other artists anymore. But she can now do rearrangements of her own songs. She can, if we want a jazz song, she can flip some of her songs off of the LP and do her own jazzy version of Diamond, where she can put her own spins on her own songs.
Yeah.
She can do a jazz version and re-release that album.
Yeah, and of course there are some young artists now that are doing covers on her songs as well.
That's the ultimate pat on the back, and me as a fan watching, like that's got to be the highest form of flattery.
Mistakes and regrets ain't all that I have left, 'cause your touch and your scent still on my skin.
There's going to be times, and it's going to be coming, where people are going to be auditioning for America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, and they're going to be doing Angelina song covers. They're going to be covering her as their audition tape. You've made it, and it's already starting.
Yeah.
We know, but it's now time the rest of the world understands what we know.
Going back to the philanthropy aspect of Angelina, which is endearing and important because it's a part of the message, the vision she has. So how did you discover that side of her? And
I just started doing small things around my area, and as I was talking about them in the live streams, people just kept saying that's what she does. She just does it on a larger scale. And I'm just like, really? So I didn't know some of these things, and I still really, to be perfectly honest, don't know the full extent of her philanthropy and giving back. I just know that's a really big part of her and who she is. Everybody knows about the boots and like that young little sweet girl giving her boots to somebody who needs them more than her, and they're her favorite boots. Like, if that also doesn't pull you in the very beginning and pull on your heartstrings, I don't know what would. And as I'm finding these things, I had already done a few charity initiatives here, and very shortly after said, you know what, I'm just going to donate everything off my YouTube channel entirely, from videos to reactions to donation requests. Everything is just gonna go to help the less fortunate here.
And to really follow Angelina, and if you look up to her like a role model and you want to do something, how would you go about in the best way to honor what Angelina is trying to do to make this world a better place.
I'm in a place where I can literally look out in my backyard. There's a bunch of people that need help. So that's where I started. I just looked around the area where the conversion ratio being so low here, the average salary being so low here, kids not being able to afford to go to school, and the ones that can go afford to go to school don't eat anything because they can't afford food. I was like, you know what, I'm going to partner with this school and I'm going to sponsor the entire school, and we're going to send all 550 kids to school, and I'm going to take care of their knapsacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, erasers, and everything they need for the year. Didn't start there. It started a lot smaller, and that's where it grew up. And then I found out that there was a children's orphanage in my area. And you know what? I'm going to partner with you, and we're going to do some stuff with you. So I just looked around where every country has areas where the government should be doing more than they're doing, and people that need, but they tend to help other people outside of their country. Just look in your backyard and be like, you know what? Do something for the homeless. And that's where I started. I just looked around and I asked around, what do people need? What do people want? And people aren't shy to tell me what they wanted or what they needed. And it's made it easier for me to want to do things when you see the smiles on their faces, how appreciative they are, and then it becomes addictive. And that's the best part of it, is like when you see these smiles and you see the effect it has on people, you're like, okay, how can I do just a little bit more, because there's more people that need help. So now what we can do. And the bigger that these initiatives get, the more pressure I'm putting on the local governments, the more pressure I put on the governments, the more they feel that they got to get behind and support. So now they're like, whatever you do, we'll match. And I'm like, well, don't match. Go to this city and do the exact same thing over here. And so now I'm at a place where I'm starting my own scholarship program. And we're starting off small, but one student in elementary, high school, and college that show the most promise but can't afford to travel to school. So sometimes they panhandle in the street and they're begging for change because the family needs it. I'll take care of it. We went to the school, and we're the students that need it the most but are going to make you proud and me proud. And they instantly, they know they're shining stars, but they can't get the A pluses because 3 days a week they have to not go to school. That's the initiative now. The initiative is the scholarship program and the taking care of the kids in school.
Angelina doesn't wear the charity side of her so much. She doesn't really brag about that. But what she does is she comes at it from a different direction, partially through her grace and her humility. And when she simply says, oh, just be kind to each other, for me, that is almost like the all-encompassing motto, which is like the basis of her charity. And so if you just take on that outlook and that approach to life, that actually is almost like a foundational for everything that she builds on. Sometimes the most complex message needs to be presented in a simple way so it can be digested, and then it just grows out from there.
I don't know about you, but I feel that I've reached a point where I'm a kinder person now than before I started listening to Angelina. And I just attribute this to her and her vision that I think is for this time.
Very right for this time. My favorite group pre-Angelina was the Beatles. Always was, ever since a little child. And I think the same messages, if you listen to all John Lennon and Paul McCartney and the songs they sing, is preaching love, peace, and happiness.
All you need is love, love is all you need.
And I think if you take those three things, no matter where you go, love, peace, and happiness, you're going to find inner peace, and then you're able to help other people and make other people happier. And I think she's doing just that. I think she's filling a lot of people with so much love, a lot of peace and happiness. She's taking a lot of people that have been in really crappy situations. They put on their music, they can relate to the music, and that's their escape. Angelina putting out the amount of music that she has is key, because so many people are going through so many different things. So the more that she has out there, the more people can relate to it, and the more hearts she's going to capture.
I love John Lennon. He was my favorite Beatle, and Imagine probably is the high point of his career. Not just the video where they're opening the white curtains, but the lyrics. And one of the things which is greatly underestimated And he and actually Henry Kissinger both thought that nationalism should be outdated, that nations are arbitrary and there's no need for nations anymore. But you listen to it and it's beautiful, but even the Beatles don't grip you and hit you in the gut the way Angelina Jordan does. You have to be a rock to listen to Million Miles and not react. So it's the visceral experience you get from Angelina Jordan consistently. That is the difference between her and every other artist, because it's not just her lyrics, it's not just her presentation, but it's what happens inside of you. It's the impact. And it's raw and it's real and it's over and over again. And it happens to so many people.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon. It's unexplainable what she does to get through to your soul.
And if you were to sit down and dissect her lyrics, the double entendres that are in there and the multiple messaging in every song she writes, you're just like, how old were you when you wrote this? Really? Definitely a diamond. She's definitely someone special.
I know that when I started listening to her, I doubted, oh, this is so good. It must be by chance that it's so good. But then she's proven again and again, this is not a coincidence that she's doing what she's doing. There really is a genius behind what she can do.
She's phenomenal. Yeah. And she covers so many different genres that the world really is her oyster, in the sense that you're not supposed to love every song on every album. Some albums, the B-sides I like more than the A-sides. But the good thing about how diverse she is musically is in the future, when she releases more and more albums, she's going to be able to cater to everybody, because there's elements of, even just in Old Enough, there's elements in the song that are pop, rock, jazz. And this is within a 10-second span. It just switches genres. And then the panning of left to rights and the earphones, the mixing and mastering of her music, and just the way that it's presented. If you're not a fan, it's because you haven't heard her.
It seems that she's getting around in the industry and meeting all these very important people. Clips from TikTok and wherever, and she's in studio with some of the greatest artists there is. Just look at the ensemble they put together in the Christmas concert in 2021.
Wow, she's playing with legends.
Shakes, when I had my intensive cramming session where I watched 4 of your reactions from 2 years ago, you went from, I often react to children and I expect them to be very good, and this Angelina Jordan, whoever she is, so I'm expecting her to be good.
Because if you look on my channel, you're going to see we have reactions to so many kids on this channel. So many amazingly talented kids. When kids get requested so heavily, I know I'm in for a complete just brain explosion. I'm ready. Oh, I'm ready. When you know me from this channel, when I get excited, I get hyper, I get loud. Let's go. Let's go.
And then with the other reactions, also from 2 years ago, it was pretty much, if you haven't heard her before, you better fasten your seatbelt, because you're in for the ride of your life, and this is like nothing you've heard before. So you were converted pretty easily and pretty dramatically, and you give a fair warning to what to expect.
If you hear Put a Spell on You for the first time, you know that's not a one-trick pony. Like when you're hearing a 6-7-year-old do that, you know that's not a one-off, that there is more coming. And you know when you look at a video before you even press play, if it's got X amount of million views, it's either insanely horrible and funny, that's why people are watching it, or it's phenomenal. And so I knew going into it that she was going to be phenomenal. But when I heard it, you're just not expecting the raw talent coming from something so small. I'm a music connoisseur. I might be a rapper, but I can go on Rock and Roll Jeopardy and battle with the best of them when it comes to music. She deserves a lot more subscribers than she has. She deserves a lot more viewership than she has, and it's coming. And I'm glad that it didn't happen when she was a child, so she could still live a normal life. I'm glad that she grew up where she grew up, because in North America, maybe she wouldn't have been able to go certain places because she'd be recognized and people would flock her, and maybe her rise to stardom would be quicker. So maybe all of these things are happening for a reason, so she can get grounded, stay grounded, remain grounded, instead of being one of these really stuck up pop artists in the States that got too much exposure way too soon and were around things they probably shouldn't have been within this industry. So the fact that she's so grounded and she's so humble and just so full of life, and you can hear it and feel it every time she's on the mic in her opening statements when she's at a concert, like it's everything is from the heart. So I'm glad she hasn't exploded yet. Now I caught up to her music. I can see it firsthand, but she can also live a normal life. And I think that was like really key and probably strategic on her family's part as well. From what I've heard, they were pulling the reins back a lot, making sure school was first and touring in the summer and that kind of stuff.
And maybe there is a point in growing organically as an artist.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
If you will allow me to quote a famous 12-year-old by the name of Juliet Slatman, she said to her big sister, "Your time will come. Your time will come."
Played out.
Yeah. Oh,
that's funny.
Great.
Just wait. Just wait. Your time is gonna come soon, and your time is gonna come, and then just wait and see for yourself. You guys agree with me?
She's still on the base of the mountain. She's not even close to the peak yet. Not even remotely close, and that's the scary thing.
Yeah, as one reactor said, we ain't seen nothing yet.
No, and the funny joke is Adele was supposed to be performing in Vegas shortly after Angelina, but her Vegas dates were canceled.
Okay.
Maybe they were canceled because Angelina lit the stage on fire. She's like, wait, she was singing my songs on stage like that? Yeah.
I'll pass.
Yeah.
I'll pass. We're good.
I watched your reaction an hour ago to Love is a Game, and you simply said, oh yeah, Adele doesn't own this song anymore.
Love is a game for fools to play. Oh, and I fool.
You lost this song. It's no longer yours. Sorry, this is Angelina's song now. You lost it. See you later. Bye-bye. It's like it's gone. Part of that is me being an idiot for entertainment, but I stand behind it. I said it earlier in this interview. I think it's the utmost flattery that you can give to somebody is by covering one of their music. It shows that you're a fan. It shows that you love their music. And I don't think Angelina Jordan was covering them for views. I don't think that's a motive behind her posts. But when an artist covers you and slightly rearranges certain things and does your runs a little bit better and hits notes that are out of reach for you, I just think that Angelina stole the song from Adele and brought it more to life. She put more life into it. Not that I'm not a fan of Adele, because she's okay, but you also don't get to a certain height in the industry and not be good. But Angelina totally stole her song, 100%. And I can name like a whole bunch of other artists that have stolen songs that they've covered as well. It's common. But when you steal someone else's song, now they want to hear that song in concert. So I'm glad that Angelina Jordan still performs these songs for fans in concert and not just originals.
I think you are in a very unusual position, Shakes, because if your mum was singing in jazz clubs while she was carrying you, that is the type of early exposure with a capital E that very few people get. And to say that music is in your blood probably would be an understatement. I think music is in your DNA.
100%. My son is a fourth generation artist in the family. He got the gene that skipped me.
Okay.
I'm going to dip into my full range of English diplomacy and not ask you to give us a sample of your singing.
I think you are doing your viewers a positive service there.
For the ending, why don't you, Shakes, get your talent out with your usual goodbye that you do on your YouTube? I think it starts with, so there you have it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Shakespeare live on Wrapped in a Warm Blanket with Alan and Pontus. For now, we are out. We'll see you angels soon.
Great. I think that's a super ending. Much better than we're used to doing.